Good evening. My name is Catherine Allen, and I'm thrilled to be able to introduce you to tonight's wonderful Celtic band, Callanish. Before we begin, I have just a few announcements. We'd like to thank the State College Presbyterian Church and Reverend Dean Lindsay, the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau, and the Borough of State College for making this live performance and live streamed performance possible tonight. We also want to encourage you to support our Arts Festival artists online. You can do that by shopping at arts-festival.com, and so many of our artists have put their work online, and you can shop virtually so that we can have an in-person arts festival again next year. We thank you for your support of the Arts Festival, the musicians, and the artists. I've been waiting a long time to hear Callanish in person again, and I know we're all going to enjoy this performance. Please enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood. And she stood, oh she stood, and was well that she stood. I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood. How will you go by land, said the knight on the road. With a good staff in my hand, said the child as she stood. And she stood, oh she stood, and was well that she stood. I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood. How will you go by sea, said the knight on the road. With a good boat under me, said the child as she stood. And she stood, oh she stood, and was well that she stood. I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood. I think I hear a bell, said the knight on the road. It's ringing you to hell, said the child as she stood. And she stood, oh she stood, and was well that she stood. I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood. What have you on your back, said the knight on the road. I got my good book in my pack, said the child as she stood. And she stood, oh she stood, and was well that she stood. I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood. And she stood, oh she stood, and was well that she stood. I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood. And she stood, oh she stood, and was well that she stood. I'm going on my way, said the child as she stood.
Thank you. Well, it's so good to be at Arts Fest. We're glad it's happening at all, and we're also really glad we got to have an audience. We didn't think we were going to have that, so that's nice. That first song was The False Knight on the Road. It is a very old ballad from generally the British Isles, probably England and Scotland, and it's one of the ballads that was collected by the song collector Francis Child in the 19th century. And such, it's called a child ballad. So if you hear people talking about that, that's who they're talking about. And we mix it up with a tune called The Wise Maid. So we like to call our version The Wise Maid Meets the False Knight on the Road, but that is a bit of a mouthful. So, that ballad is part of a long tradition of ballads where a child or some other kind of innocent person is traveling, usually at night, and they meet a stranger on the road who turns out to be the devil in disguise and challenges them to some sort of contest or riddles. And it's a tradition that starts, with that, and then goes all the way down to the devil went down to Georgia. So it's cool to think about how folk songs have evolved over the years. And next we're going to do a set of jigs. The first one is called Star Above the Garter, and that one's traditional. And then next we have Fair Jenny and Calliope House, which is by Dave Richardson of the Scottish band The Boys of the Loch, and is actually about a house in Pittsburgh, which is it's an old house that was turned into a folk music co-op sort of situation. It's pretty cool. So, let's go.
Thanks very much.
All right. So I'll take a minute to introduce us. We were already introduced as Callanish, but I figured you should know our names too. So on the far right, with bouzouki and guitar, we have Holly Foy.
Thank you.
Next to her, on flute, whistles, and concertina, Patty Lambert. Next to me here, on fiddle and pipes, which we'll get to hear later, is Betsy Gamble. And I'm Louisa Smith. Hi. Betsy just asked, what's this I'm playing? So just to give a quick explanation, this is a bowron. It's a traditional Irish drum, although there's some debate about how traditional. It might be only a couple hundred years old, but there's probably been some kind of frame drum around for at least a long time. And you'll see that my hand will go up and down on the inside of the drum, and the tipper or beater will go up and down on the outside of the drum, and the hand controls the pitch and how much it's dampened, so basically pitch and volume.
Irish music is an evolving, changing thing. Even this instrument is somewhat new to the tradition. If you've been to Greece at all, you probably saw round back instruments that look like this. This is a bouzouki, traditional to Turkey and Greece, and in the 1950s, some musicians in a group from Ireland called Sweeney's Men vacationed in Greece, brought home a bouzouki, played around with it, and said, we like this. They retuned it completely so that not one, not two, not even three, but 4 of the 8 strings have that G note or the D note, giving it a drone that hums the whole time so it sounds kind of like a bagpipe. So here's our traditional instrument that is really a Turkish instrument trying to sound like a bagpipe. So there's the evolution of world music right there.
We're going to do a song for you next. It's from Northern Ireland. It's called The Mountain Road. And this is one of a group of songs that was collected by a song collector named Sam Henry, who operated in Northern Ireland, all up and down the country, during about between the World Wars. And he wrote a newspaper column called Songs of the People. And he would go into pubs and houses and learn songs from people who knew them from their families or just traditionally, and he would collect the songs, write them down, figure out some notation for them, and then put them in his newspaper column. And a lot of these were sort of lost for a while because the column only existed in books in a few compilations in libraries. But then a few years ago, somebody put it together in a new book, and it's also called Songs of the People. So if you're really interested in Irish music, you should check that out. And or it's called Sam Henry's Songs of the People. And this is one of the songs that he collected and that was not very well known until pretty recently. And we've also paired it up with a tune called The Brownie Reel. And I'll tell you more about that when we're done.
Hey,
Betsy, you want to talk about these?
What about those brownies you were going to tell us about?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was going to tell you the story of the brownie reel. So we had a band retreat, which means we go and we rent a cabin, and we bring a lot of snacks, and we eat a lot of snacks, and we play some music, and then we eat more snacks. And we were looking for a tune to go in the middle of this song, and our former fiddler, Gretchen Lee, ate a brownie that I brought with me, and then she wrote half a tune after she'd eaten one of these brownies I'd baked. And I promised they were just regular brownies, okay? No magic ingredients. But imagine how good it would have been if they had been. And then we said, okay, well, we need the other half of the tune to finish this. And she said, well, then I'm going to need another brownie. And then we gave her another brownie, and then she finished the tune. So we called it the brownie reel, which also works because a brownie is a little elf creature in Irish mythology, so that worked out. And I think Betsy's going to tell us about the next tunes we're playing.
We're going to play a couple tunes. First one's called Johnny Fa. Johnny Fa was appointed king of the gypsies by one of the early King Jameses in Scotland in the 1400s. And in honor of that, he was in charge of keeping all the gypsies in line and got in trouble when the gypsies made trouble. So that's Johnny Fa. And it's followed by Jenny Dang the Weaver. Danging somebody is hitting them over the head with something. And she did that because the weaver was doing odd jobs around the house. And Jenny asked him to polish her husband's shoes, and the weaver thought that was beneath his dignity. And she disagreed and danged him over the head. And her husband wrote this tune for her. These are small pipes, Scottish small pipes. So they can actually play them into the microphone without blowing your ears out, unlike the Great Highland pipes.
so much.
There we go. I didn't realize I'd set up this set list so that I would get to sit down the whole time, pretty much, with a few exceptions. All right. We're going to do a Scottish song next. This is another one of the child ballads, so the ones that were collected by Francis Child in the 19th century. But the song itself dates back to at least the 17th century, and probably before then, but that's the first time it was written down. This is another sort of family of ballads where, in this case, there's a pair of people. There's sort of your hero or heroine who's telling the story, and then there's some kind of lover that they're pursuing, sometimes supernatural lover, as in this case, with the elfin knight. And usually they have to perform some tasks to win the love of the person that they're after. So another version of this sort of family of ballads would be Scarborough Fair, if you're familiar with that one, which pretty much everyone is thanks to Simon and Garfunkel. But this is along the same lines, and we've also paired it up with a tune called Out on the Ocean.
In my advanced years, sometimes I mishear things, and it's like as much fun as the typos I'm doing. So I heard you say supernatural mother, and I was thinking, what?
Sure.
You said supernatural lover,
Yes.
and I heard mother, which was
Very
a whole
different song.
Yes.
Get the right tipper. Okay, there we go.
The elfin knight stands on yon hill. He blows his horn both loud and shrill. He stands so proud and he stands so still. Blow winds blow, my bonny, oh. Blow winds blow, my bonny. Blow winds blow, my bonny, oh. Blow winds blow, my bonny. If I'd the one who stands on yon mound, my true love then surely I'd found. Down to the church then soon we would be bound. Blow winds blow, my bonny, oh. Blow winds blow, my bonny. Blow winds blow, my bonny, oh. Blow winds blow, my bonny. You'll make me a dress with seams of fine thread. Make me a garland of flowers for my head. Down to the church, then away we'll go to bed. Blow winds blow, my bonny, oh. Blow winds blow, my bonny. Blow winds blow, my bonny, oh. Blow winds blow, my bonny. The elfin knight stands on yon hill. He blows his horn both loud and shrill. He stands so proud and he stands so still. Blow winds blow, my
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to do a set of jigs for you next. I'll get that in a second. The first one is actually a slip jig. Actually, the first two are slip jigs, which are an interesting dance. So all Irish tunes that aren't songs, that don't have lyrics, are, oh, thank you. Thank you, Tom. Are dance tunes. So they have different rhythms depending on what kind of dance you would do to it. So a jig, we like to say, goes carrots and cabbages, carrots and cabbages, carrots and cabbages. It's very Irish. It's easy to remember. And then the reels, which are, it's a little less Irish, it's Black and Decker, Black and Decker, Black and Decker, Black and Decker. So, and then slip jigs have a very different rhythm because they are in 9/8, which is a time signature. If you're a musician, you'll understand that. And the way to remember that is to go Jesus and Mary and Joseph and Jesus and Mary and Joseph and Jesus and Mary and Joseph. So you'll hear that. So the first one we're going to do is called the butterfly, and then we're following that with another jig will do, and then the last one is just a regular jig, and that one is Morrison's.
And since you're in a church, we expect to see you mouthing Jesus and Mary and Joseph and Jesus and Mary and Joseph.
But with appropriate reverence.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, I really did arrange this so I didn't have to stand up until the end. Wow, I'm impressed with myself. Okay, we're going to do another Scottish song next. Hold on. Air conditioning dries everything out. And this one is called Mary's Wedding. and it was written by John Roderick Bannerman when his friend, Mary McNiven, won the National Mod, which is singing and arts and poetry and everything competition in Scotland. It's been held for quite some time and generally goes on every year. And she won for singing, and so he wrote her a lovely little song to celebrate that, and it's called Mary's Wedding. And then we've also mixed that up with a tune called Ravelin Reel, which is by the Scottish-American fiddler Barbara McGowan. And Ravelin means tangled, so you'll sort of hear with the tune, it goes back and forth a lot on itself, and it's a tangled tune. Let me think. Oh, I should mention, I always forget to mention this, but there's a moment in the song where I say going past the shieling, and a shieling is a little hill, it's a little cottage on a hill, like a little stone hut on a faraway hill. So that's the shieling, and that's where somebody like maybe a shepherd would live there, or somebody.
In 2018, I was in Scotland.
Oh.
On the island with the Callanish Stones, of which our band has a name. And we were driving, my husband and I, to the Callanish Stones, and I saw a little touristy brown sign that said shieling ahead. And I yelled at my husband, "Stop, there's a shieling," and he thought there was a sheep on the road or something and slammed on the brakes. I said, no, up there. But we got to go in, and the cabin was literally, there was a double bed and enough room to walk on one side, on the foot and the side, and there were indentations that had a couple of books and a candle, and it was literally just a place where the shepherds in days of old could not stand being wet one more minute. You drove your sheep over to where you knew there was a shieling. You got out of the rain for a little bit, but it was really cool.
It is cool, and I love that Gaelic has words for small stone hut on a hill outside of town. That's just great. All right, so Mary's Wedding.
On we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row, all for Mary's wedding. Over hillways, up and down, myrtle green and black and brown, past the shieling through the town, all for sake of Mary. Step we gaily, on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row, all for Mary's wedding. Red her cheeks as Rowan's are, bright her eyes as any star, fairest of them all by far is our darling Mary. Step we gaily, on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row, all for Mary's wedding. Plenty herring, plenty meal, plenty beef to fill her creel, plenty bonny bairns as well. That's our toast for Mary. arm in arm and row in row, off for Marie's wedding. Step we gaily, on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row in row, all for Marie's wedding. Step we gaily, on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in arm and row in row, all for Marie's wedding.
Thank you. Oh, I think Betsy needs to introduce this one. This is one of yours.
I'm going to do another couple of pipe tunes. First one's called The Battle of Somme, and it was written by a prize-winning piper named William Lowry, who was in the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders in the Battle of Somme, and was hit by mustard gas, and got evacuated to England and wrote this tune before he died a couple weeks later. And the pipers I'll remember him because he won all 3 of the major championships in piping before he went into the army. The second tune is Bonnie Dundee, a nickname for a Scottish general who, depending on which side you were on, was known as Bonnie Dundee or Bloody Dundee. And he actually won one of the major battles against the English. It was a rare occurrence that the Scottish won against the English in the Battle of Killiecrankie.
I'm sorry, the what?
Battle of Killiecrankie. Spelled with a K. Cheryl K. Now that I'm done talking, it's down toward the piper.
Betsy, by the way, you might recognize her if you've ever seen the Nittany Highland Pipe Band parading around. She is the pipe master, or are you the pipe mistress? Major? She's the major. Boy, so we have a major in the band, and actually the last gig we played, last week we were in Brockway, and right before we got on stage, they crowned the 4th of July Queen. So we have a major, and we were on stage with royalty. So we took pictures with the Queen before we performed. So never a dull moment. And the gig before that, we were in Wellsboro, and a deer had us on the way back. So it went from the deer to royalty to you guys, which are like royalty. So it's so nice to have another live audience. going to make Louisa stand up now. I just want to thank everybody for being here, too. We've got quite a few more for you, but I also want to thank the Arts Festival staff who've been working really, really hard the last couple of years under really extenuating circumstances. I got out of my car today and was thinking about, oh, sad it's not the full festival, and I turned the corner and saw the banners hanging all over the parking deck, and I just started dancing out in the church parking lot. So thanks to the Arts Festival staff for their diligence and their joy.
It is really such a treat for us to play here for you. We are normally playing here every night, every New Year's Eve on first night, and it's certainly one of our most favorite gigs, if not the favorite. So it's wonderful to be back here with you again.
It does feel kind of like a new year, you know? Yes. It's been a weird 18 months or so. So we're glad to be back with audiences. And also, in addition to the Arts Fest staff, I want to thank Tom on sound and Jason on videography.
So, Louisa, it hasn't been a rattling year, has it?
It has not been a rattling year. This song I'm about to do is called Rattlin' Bog, and rattlin' in this case means very good. So a rattlin' bog is a really good bog, which I guess means it's extra wet and has more bugs than usual or something, whatever makes a bog good. And this is one where you are welcome to join in on the chorus. You'll pick it up quickly because there's a lot of them. And it's pretty fun. I think you'll enjoy it. Let me take one more drink of water before I start this one.
She's going to need it.
In a valley there was a bog, a rare bog, a rattling bog. A bog down in the valley, oh, hey ho, the rattling bog. A bog down in the valley, oh, hey ho, the rattling bog. A bog down in the valley, oh. And in this bog there was a wood, a rare wood, a rattling wood. A wood in the bog down in the valley, oh, hey ho, the rattling bog. A bog down in
I'm gonna let someone else introduce the next one.
We're going to do a march and a polka. First one's called Bonaparte Crossing the Rhine, or I learned it as Caledonia March up in Caledonia, New York. They named it after themselves, I guess. And there's lots of
All the
Bonaparte-
tunes have more than one name anyway.
It's true. They wander around, pick up different names. There's a lot of Bonaparte tunes in Ireland because they liked Bonaparte because he fought the English. The second tune's called Bill Sullivan's Polka. In the south of Ireland, they like polkas, and this is one from Bill Sullivan.
Thank you so much.
We're almost at the end, but I'm going to do at least one more song. This one, actually, we haven't done a nice sort of slow, sad one, but that is a large part of the Irish canon, so I couldn't leave without doing at least one of them. Irish songs tend to be about a few themes. There's drinking, which is a big one. Then there's love, of course, and heartbreak that goes with love sometimes. And let me think, what else is there? War, of course. And then, of course, this last one, which is emigration, because an awful lot of Irish people have left Ireland, which is how I'm part Irish, too. And this is one of those songs about emigration. This is from the point of view of the person who's been left behind instead of the person who's left. And I believe the person that has gone away has probably gone to America, to judge by the
the stranger's land may be bright and fair, and rich in its treasures golden. You'll pine, I know, for the long, long ago, and the love that is never olden. Oh, storm a cree in the stranger's land, there is plenty of wealth and wailing, while gems adorn thy great and grand. There are faces with hunger paling. Oh, the road may be toilsome and hard to tread, and the lights of their cities may blind you. You'll turn a stone to old Erin's shore, and the ones you've left behind you. Oh, a storm agree when the evening mist over mountain and meadow is falling. Won't you turn away from the throng and list, and maybe you'll hear me calling for the sound of a voice that is sorely missed, for somebody's speedy returning. Arun, won't you come back soon to the one who truly loves you?
Thank you. Well, I think we'll wind things up with a set of reels, yeah? Just to completely change the mood. The reels we're going to do next are Tam Lin and Dick Gossip. And Betsy, would you like to talk about Tam Lin?
Sure. Tam Lin was a character in folklore who was captured by the fairies, and his lover wanted to know how to get him back. So she
His
went
lover or his mother?
lover. Lover. I suppose that would work that way too. So she went to the wise woman and asked how to get him back, and the wise woman told her to sit by the side of the road, hide by the side of the road, and when the fairies rode by on their way home, she should leap out and grab him off the horse and hold on to him no matter what happened. So she hid by the side of the road, and she leaped out and grabbed him, and he turned magically into a bear. And there, you'll hear the bear in the song. And she hung on to him. And then he turned into an eagle, and she hung on to him and kept turning into different animals, and she kept holding on. And this is a fairy tale with a happy ending, so she held on to him until he turned back into himself, and they lived happily ever after. And we'll play a happy tune to Gossip.
Let's do the one more since we didn't tell them that was the last one. Let's do that.
Want one more song? Yay! Good.
Have to help out though.
Yes, you'll have to help out on this one. It's a clap along. Hold on.
And this is our last one, so thank you all for being here. It's been a joy. Thank you so much.
So this song has been popular in the Americas since at least the Revolution, and we liked it for the same reason the Irish liked it. It is anti-British and anti-colonialism. And this one is called Whiskey in the Jar. It's been covered by everybody, including Metallica, for some reason. It's actually pretty good, so check that out. And we are so happy to leave you with it tonight. And there's a little bit on the chorus where you can clap along, and you'll catch on pretty quickly. It's easy.
As I was going over the far famed Kerry mountains, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol and then produced my rapier. Said stand and deliver, for I am a bold deceiver. Mushering-da-ma-da-da-ma-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. I counted out his money and it made a pretty penny. I put it in me pocket and I took it home to Jenny. She said and she swore that she never would deceive me. But the devil take the women, for they always lie so easy. Mushering-da-ma-do-da-ma-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. I went up to me chambers, all for to take a slumber. I dreamt of gold and jewels, and for sure it was no wonder. But Jenny took me charges, and she filled them up with water. Then she sent for Captain Farrell to be ready for the slaughter. Mushering-da-ma-do-da-ma-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. 'Twas early in the morning, afore I rose for travel. Up came a band of footmen, and likewise Captain Farrell. I first produced my pistol, for she stole away me rapier. But I couldn't shoot the water, so a prisoner I was taken. Mushering-da-ma-do-da-ma-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. If anyone can aid me, it's me brother in the army. If I can find his station down in Cork or in Killarney, and he'll come and save me, we'll go roaming in Kilkenny. And I swear he'll treat me better than me darling Spartan Jenny. Mushering-da-ma-do-da-ma-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. Mushering-da-ma-do-da-ma-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thanks to everyone watching out there.